Hey, imontheedge here, back again with another brand new video. So today I will be no damaging all the long battles in Yakuza 2. Now, hold up, these aren't boss battles. What are long battles? Well, in Yakuza, like the gameplay is kind of like this. There's like the open world sections where you kind of walk around, you talk to people, you go to your objectives and all that. Then there's the action segments where pretty much you kind of go through a level beating up a bunch of goons, and then at the end of a level, in the middle of a level, or at some point in that level, you might fight a boss fight. Now, my previous no damage videos have all centered around fighting these boss fights because I feel like that's kind of where Yakuza's combat kind of excels. You know, kind of the 1v1s is kind of like some of the most fun in the game. Well, some of the most fun stuff in the game. And I've kind of been ignoring the long battles just because no damaging these things is a lot of the time harder than the boss fights because, like, I mean, boss fights a lot of the time they're 1v1s. They have like patterns you can recognize. I mean, yeah, some fights, you know, kind of complicated. They bring in groups here and there, you know, and some boss fights might even apply as like massive group fights. But like, I don't know, with levels, it's like, I don't know, is it okay? So with, like, with the 1v1 boss fights, I mean, they're kind of more easy to read. You know, you can dodge their attacks, you can parry like their timies. You know, you can come to learn them a little bit. But with these levels, you're like fighting these groups of enemies, and like these groups of enemies are fast, they're quick, they can clip you at any time. So, you know, while you're trying to take out one guy, you might get clipped by another guy. And the thing is that these levels, they can also be long too. You know, a boss fight, you know, at most might take, you know, 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, at least if we're not talking about the secret boss fight in Kurugio. And yeah, don't worry, I have not forgotten about fighting the secret boss fight in Kurugio 2. I have simply ignored it because it scares me and I don't want to dedicate that much time to a boss fight right now. But anyways, Yakuza 2. So you may be noticing I'm doing this weird thing where I'm doing like these light combos and then dodging into them. Like, I don't know, Yakuza 2, I'm tackling this on New Game Plus. My Kiryu is fully upgraded, and what that means is that I had to do everything in the game. I had to fight Amon, and to get to Amon, you have to do all the Coliseum fights, you have to do all the side quests, and you have to perform every single heat action in the game. So in order to, because like the reason you have to do that is because there's a certain opponent in the Coliseum who doesn't show up unless you have performed every single heat action in the game. So you literally have to perform every single heat action that exists in the game. Like, I don't know, every environmental attack, every situational attack, like every weapon attack, like heat action. I mean, I don't know, even if you don't know what a heat action is, it's pretty much like the contextual attacks you can do when you have like this blue fire around you. And you pretty much have to perform every single contextual attack in the game. And it can get kind of weird because some of these are a little obscure. Like, I mean, there's like your normal ones, you know, stomping people on the ground, slamming them against walls, you know, nice. But then you get into some of the weirder ones, like, you know, using rope to choke someone. And, you know, you don't usually have rope because, like, you know, why would you use rope? And then there's like the heat actions you get from like your friends in the game, you know, people who you can kind of befriend throughout the city and all that. And if you get into a fight near them, they'll throw an item to help you out. That's a heat action. And then there's like the level-specific heat actions, which you could miss entirely and would have to replay the entire game to get to. Like, I don't know, one nasty heat action which screwed me over in my first playthrough was the gun heat action. Because, I don't know, there's only like 1 or 2 times in the game where like an enemy has like a shotgun. So if you miss the moment to do a heat action against them, then you pretty much have to like go back to the beginning of the game to redo it all, unless you have like a save file to that moment. So anyway, so this level is the Omi Alliance, the Omi HQ, and that first part is probably the hardest part of the entire stage. You're just fighting this massive crowd, and on X hard they attack super fast. Like, you know, you're trying to take out one enemy, the other guy will just come out and clip you. Now, to be fair, when I say enemies attack super fast, I mean they're not as fast as some of the future games. Like, you know, they give you a little time to react until you get to another point in this game where enemies like attack incredibly fast. But we're not there yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. So yeah, the first part of this HQ is like insanely tough. Like, I mean, when I say insane, I mean, you know, I did it in like 1 or 2 hours, but still, it was really, really tough. Because, I don't know, it's just like you have this huge group of enemies, you know, you're trying to take out one, but then another guy will be around you, and it's like 4 or 5, like, and then when enemies start to grab you, like, that's another, like, issue, because, I don't know, something weird about Yakuza 2 is that the QTEs kinda suck. As in, like, mashing QTEs are a little random. Sometimes you'll get out of it, sometimes you won't. But you have to, like, slam that thing for dear life. And if you don't, then you get thrown. And that kind of negates your whole no damage. But yeah, like, that whole huge crowd in the kind of Omi Alliance room, just hardest part of this level. And then after that, it's a little tough because you're kind of like stuck in between like these 5 people. So you're trying to take out these 1 guys, but then like the other guys might clip you, you know. And this game's camera could be a little finicky. Like right now, like I can't see the enemy, so it's kind of like, you know, you're trying to find where the enemy is, and they might hit you sometimes because you're not really situated to see the enemy. So you got to play it a little bit more cautiously. But after that, this level gets a little easier, but it could still be tough. I don't know. I mean, one thing which I've noticed about Yakuza 2 is that at least throughout almost like every single level in this game. Well, before I get to that, like let's talk about why I'm playing on X hard. So I don't know, with my boss fight videos, I've mostly been tackling them on hard, and the reason I did that was because I was only no damaging the boss fights. I wasn't no damaging the levels, so you know, I didn't want to like repeat an entire level every time I died to a boss fight, and that's like what happens on X hard. Because like, I mean, the difficult thing about X hard, like, I mean, it does kind of make enemies a little more aggressive, but not that much compared to hard. But like, the main thing about X hard is if you die, you can't like reload a checkpoint or start the level from the beginning or the boss fight from the beginning. You have to like pretty much like load up your last save, and your last save is probably before that level started. So yeah, repeat the entire level to get to the boss fight. I don't like doing that, so I mostly play on hard, and only on very special occasions have I like upped the difficulty, like in my Yakuza 6 video where I played on Legend, because that game actually does allow you to restart boss fights from the beginning, just because, I don't know, I guess they were feeling merciful. And Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, because that difficulty mode was so unique that I had to give it a go. Because I don't know, Fist of the North Star's Lost Paradise is like difficulty. Pretty much the main way you tackle that is like all enemies have like they have way bigger health bars, and since you're so OP on New Game Plus, like that felt like the more appropriate game to try to no damage. But I don't know, so let me get back to Yakuza 2. So I don't know, one thing which Yakuza 2's levels love to have is respawning enemies, and I forgot the second part, but yeah, respawning enemies. I don't know what it is with Yakuza 2, but it always has these like little sections of levels where like enemies are just constantly respawning over and over and over. And the thing is, like, there is an end to the respawning enemies, so it's just a matter of like killing enough of them for it to stop. But it's just kind of this one little area that keeps spawning in until you take them all out, or unless you ignore them. Oh yeah, that's the second thing. That's the second thing. In this game, you could actually just straight up run past enemies. I'm not sure if you could do it in this level, but in the next level, you could literally just run past almost every single enemy. Like, I don't know, like Yakuza 2's levels don't really have restrictions on what you have to do. You can just run past a lot of the challenges they present in front of you, which is a little disappointing. But hey, it makes no damage at least somewhat easy. But to be fair, that's only like really the level that comes after this. Like, I mean, then again, the level that comes after this, also you can skip enemies, but they put some restrictions in place to kind of make it a little more difficult. Anyways, these couch enemies, now these guys are just tough as hell to fight. Well, not that tough, but they can be really quick. I mean, if you hit them while they're like shielding, they can do that little super fast couch attack, which is, oh, that's very hard to react to. However, that's if you're dealing with them. That's if you're trying to take them out with combos. Because the easier way to deal with those couch guys is to use a heat action against them. So like grab something from the environment and do a heat action on them, or I don't know, pull out a weapon and do a heat action on them. And speaking of heat action, since I'm the fully maxed out Kiryu, like, I don't know, when I say I'm fully maxed out, like you have to beat Amon to get every single ability in this game. And once you have all those abilities, you are like insanely overpowered. And the reason you're insanely overpowered is that pretty much like one of the last upgrades you get is the ability to do heat actions without needing to have any heat. So if you noticed, when I was like doing some heat actions and my heat bar was like empty, that's why. I don't need my heat bar for heat actions. I only need it for grab combos, because you can't do any grab combos like without heat, at least to my knowledge. But to be fair, in this early game section, doing grab combos is kind of just not useful, because you, like, I don't know, your heavy attack ends up killing the enemy before you can actually do a grab combo. And in this game, I don't know, like, I mean, in Yakuza 1, if an enemy died from your heavy attack, you can still continue with that enemy's dead body for a grab combo. So, you know, you can do square, 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 triangle. If they die from that triangle, you can still press circle to do a grab combo. But you can't do that in Yakuza 2. Once an enemy is dead, they're just, you can't do anything like with their body except for like maybe hit them a little more, but you cannot do any more grab combos. So like if your heavy attack like kills an enemy, it pretty much like, you can't do any grab combos with their body. Like, it kind of just falls to the ground and you end up just grabbing normally, which could kind of screw me over sometimes. However, it did kind of lead to this cool thing I did like beforehand, where I took out 3 enemies by taking out like 2 of them with like the heavy attack and then grabbing the 3rd one and doing the heat action. Anyways, look at this heat action. So yeah, Kiryu just went straight gorilla mode there. However, that's not what happens in Kiwami 2. They changed it to this thing where he kind of hangs from the chandelier, just kind of swings around, and then he kind of jumps and hits someone. But in Yakuza 2, he was just beasting. I don't know why they didn't leave the beasting heat action in the remake, but oh well. So this fight here, it could be a little tough because some of these guys could be a little grabby, and the reflective 4 is a little too shiny. Ow, 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 I got my eyes. It's very hard to focus. Oh no. But besides that, like, I don't know, not too hard. However, it is like the last part of a level, so it's a little bit, you know, demanding. Oh yeah, I explained why I tackled the boss fights on hard, but I have not explained why I'm doing these levels on X hard. And it's because, well, these levels, I'm trying to do them all in like their entirety. I'm not trying to skip like certain sections or trying to no damage a very specific section. I'm trying to do all of it. So, I mean, what's the point in doing hard where I can just retry from the beginning, retry from a certain section when I want to do like the entire thing. Well, anyways, check out how fast I can destroy Ryuji with my gun. So yeah, once you like nearly 100% the game or do all the side quests or fight to Amano, I forget the requirements, you unlock that gun, and that gun destroys boss fights. So I'll be including some boss fights which I have previously no damage, just to show you how easy it is to kind of destroy them. Anyways, check out this little music sync I tried to do. I hope y'all appreciate that. Anyways, here's Man in Black, a foe which I haven't fought before in this environment. I've only fought him when you fight him for like the last time in this level and on the escalator thing. But anyway, so yeah, here he is. He blocks a lot, and I'm using some of my new tech with my dodge canceling. I don't know, I thought Ishin was like the only game where you could like do light combos and then dodge cancel into another light combo, but here, no, there's a prototype for it in Yakuza 2. You kind of keep doing that over and over and over. Now with certain normal boss fights, they could either, you know, like retaliate to you constantly doing that, or, you know, just get screwed over by it. However, Man in Black, he just blocks it. So I just kind of put him into a situation where I can do a cool heat action on them, and then I grab it and throw him to the ground, so I can grab an item around the environment, and then I get to screw him over. And also just do a normal heat action like that. Sometimes you can get a little defensive and not let me, but yeah. So anyways, this is the level where you can pretty much just run past all of the enemies. Now, there is some difficulties to doing this because sometimes an enemy could get a little aggressive. There's some enemies with guns which you want to take out, or at least, you know, just because they're kind of bad vuju. So there's that. But yeah, I'm doing these levels on X hard just because, well, I'm doing the whole thing. However, I will have to be upfront and say that some of these levels I kind of split into parts. Like, I'll tackle the first part doing no damage of that, and then once I have my recording of that section of the level, I'll like pretty much ignore doing no damage on that section for future attempts and just focus on the second part of the level. And then I'll take those two different clips and kind of combine them into one. I did this with the Omi Alliance level because that first section is hell, and also because after that first section you get access to a save point, so they're practically two different sections of the level, so like, why not? However, in Kiwami 2, I know that they removed that save point, so if I ever do try to no damage that long battle in Kiwami 2, it's gonna be a little harder. And also it's going to be a little harder because Kiwami 2 is a little more strict with, you know, having to kill all the enemies in a single level. And I think I mentioned this in my Yakuza 2 no damage like boss fights video, but I do think that Kiwami 2 did the long battles a lot better. Like, I don't know, they definitely improved the long battles from the original game. Like, they just spiced them up in a lot of cool, unique ways. Like, they actually like force you to kill every single enemy in the area. Like, I mean, just a lot of, I think they did a lot of neat things to make those levels more enjoyable. However, you know, Kiwami 2 has Kiwami 2's combat system, which I don't like as much as this original games, but the levels are better. Like, I'll have to admit that. So anyways, we're fighting Man in Black here again, and here we're just gonna do the action there. Like, I'm interested in doing like a Kiwami 2 long battle video. However, I don't know, on PC I am not fully upgraded. Like, I don't know, I mean, if I'm gonna do these long battles, I want to be fully upgraded because one, these levels are like long. I mean, you gotta defeat enemies like really quickly. Like, I don't know, being underpowered for these levels is like not that fun. Like, I mean, for boss fights it's kind of fun to be a little underleveled, just because, you know, like being like being over leveled or like maxed out, certain boss fights can just die super fast, and especially in the modern games. However, when you're dealing with like these goons, you want to kill enemies fast. You don't want it to drag on. So being fully leveled is something I would want to do with like all my long battle videos if I continue on with this direction. Because I don't know. I mean, like, I was just remembering, like, in Ishin, like, I mean, I was like under level just so I could fight the boss fights, like, in a more epic fashion. But the enemies, their health bars were so long. They just took so long to die over and over and over. And here, I don't know, last time I was fighting Man in Black in this arena, and, like, I sometimes got some of the QTEs for the boxes. However, I learned today that I can just kind of drag them out of that room so I don't have to deal with that stupid nonsense. But yeah, as you've noticed and as I've pointed out, like, yeah, you can pretty much just skip all the enemies in this level because you can kind of just go straight to your goal and kind of continue on from there. And the only like required person you have to beat down is Man in Black, and he's very easy in this game. Like in Kiwami 2, like he's very similar to his original counterpart, but he's like in Kiwami 2, so like his reactions like actually have counters. He has these knife boots which you can't block. Like, I mean, there's a lot of different, like, aspects to Kiwami 2's combat system, which, like, turns what was just a guy who blocks too much into, like, one of the hardest fights in the game. But here, he's just really tedious. I don't know, one thing, like, I liked in Kiwami 2 more in terms of, like, the level. Like, this level specifically, it's just, like, there's this one little neat section where a dude has, like, this submachine gun, and you have this shield you can pick up to kind of block it. And it's just like, there's like these little intervals here and there throughout the level, which just make it a little more exciting than it was before. Anyways, here is the enemies you have to beat up before you fight Hayashi. This is another level where enemies will constantly be respawning over and over, and I don't know, it's just a weird little feature of like Yakuza 2 because this didn't happen in the original game, at least not to my knowledge. Like I tried to no damage the long battles in Yakuza 1 first because you don't actually have to replay the entire game to do all the long battles in Yakuza 1. Like, I don't know, Yakuza 1 has this great battle review mode where you can pretty much do all the fights in the game without needing to replay the entire game. So you can do boss fights, I mean, you can do like levels, you can do like certain unique combat encounters. Like, I mean, there's just a lot of things you can do in that battle review. It's like probably the most extensive battle review in the series, which is kind of weird that they never got that extensive again. And a shame because I really like it. However, so, like, I don't know, Yakuza 1 gives you the ability to do every long battle in the game fully upgraded without replaying the entire game. Like, awesome. However, man, like, the second long battle is so frustrating. Like, the second half of that level is horrible. Like, it's the one where you're in the kitchen and all that. Like, nah. Like, that made me give up on trying it, like, at least for now. Like, I'll probably return to it someday, but, like, I was like, you know what, screw this. I want to play Yakuza 2. And that's exactly what I did. So I returned to Yakuza 2 to play it. So anyways, we're going to destroy Hayashi with a gun. So I mentioned that I wanted to try doing this in Kiwami 2. And, I don't know, my main issue with, like, going at it right now is that my save file on PS4 doesn't really work because I don't have a Kiwami 2 PS4 disc. And the reason I would do my PS4 save is because, well, I'm fully upgraded on my I'm fully upgraded in the PS4 version of the game. So I can kind of try out the long battles with all my upgrades. However, on PC, I do not have all the upgrades, and that's the only version I have of the game available to me right now. And also, if I were to record my PC version, I would lower the graphics to like immense levels. So I would try to get like 60 FPS footage, but it would just look like ass. At least on PS4, like the footage will look nice, but it'll be like 30 FPS. But now, if I record like the PC version, like I would have to like do some weird training to kind of get all my stats up to max. And also, unlocking the triple dodge in Kiwami 2 is just a massive hassle. So yeah, here is the Shangri-La castle. No, not castle. Castle comes later. The Shangri-La, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. But it's like the soapland level is destroyed, and now we're reusing assets in order to make another level. So here, there's another level where enemies are constantly respawning. However, you can't just skip them. Well, until the end, where I do actually skip them. And to be fair, you could actually skip like every single enemy in this game except for the couch enemies and just kind of go to like the final area. However, it's a little tough because, well, one, you have the couch enemies, and the couch enemies aren't exactly the easiest guys to take out. You need to do like a heat action, but in order to do a heat action, you need to have some sort of weapon or like, you know, object in your hand to do it. So, you know, not only do you need like time the heat action well in order to take out that like guard, but you also need to make sure that the other enemies don't get a hit on you while you're trying to do that. So yeah, here I just kind of took out the respawning enemies in this area, and now I'm just going to run straight to the couch enemies just by heat actioning all of them. And well, if you don't have all the upgrades, you know, managing your heat is going to be a problem. However, me, because I have all the upgrades, managing heat is literally a non-issue. So there's that. So I don't know, for this, you know, kind of no damage like attempt, I did not have that many resources to rely on. Like I pretty much there's only like 2 videos I know of, which like people have no damage Yakuza 2. One of them is like this like X hard playthrough where someone no damages like the entire game, just period, like every single part of it, like at every moment they no damaged it on X hard. That was useful because it taught me that the best way to do that is to just use the gauntlets and do the like special attack to hoard iframes over and over and over. And I will do that later on for some of the harder sections of these fights. However, I'm not doing that right now in the early game. In the early game, I'm just kind of, I'm just building up my heat. You know, like, very nice. So, however, the other video is a tool-assisted run of Yakuza 2, which I don't even think was on X hard. So, like, I mean, for trying to, like, no damage these levels in cool ways, I did not have that many resources. However, I guess I can say that I'm probably, like, one of the only people who have done it, though, to be fair, with some of the later levels, I get a little cheap with it. Like, I mean, right now, I'm, like, doing a pretty fair run. This is what I mean. Like, once you, like, can do a good run, you can kind of just like take out the couch guys, run past everyone else. Because I don't know, I mean, that crowd was a little problematic because like I don't know, one of them pulled out a shotgun at one point. I was trying to take them out in that little room, like the camera could get a little bit funky. So I'm just like, you know what, it'd be better if I just ran past them. In the beginning, it's better to like take out the enemies because you know why not. However, by this point, I can just kind of run past them, but you know, still be careful because you know if you run past them and they're near you, they could get a clip on you. Oh yeah, but that's another thing. This level discourages you from attempting this kind of run by having these dudes who throw knives, because you know you might be trying to take out the couch guy, you know you have enemies on your back trying to hit you, and then you have this knife guy who's just throwing stuff. Look at that! Ah! Like I mean, it almost hit me. Those guys kind of discourage you to kind of like from like rushing ahead. You know, take it slow, take out the enemies first before moving on, because if you move on too far, you'll be in the range of that knife guy, and he'll like throw a knife at you. And in the beginning, that's why I did take my time. I took out like the respawning enemies because the guy who throws knives is a little dangerous. But then afterwards, I found out that, you know, if I like, you know, time it well, I could be able to take him out. Anyways, I'm going to destroy this boss fight by downing some Asaka water. I don't know how to pronounce the water name, but it's an item that pretty much slows down time. So I just slow down time, pull out my gun, and just pop, 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 boom, like a gangster. Over. So yeah, the slowdown water is very useful, and this will not be the last time you see it. So anyways, here is the level before Shindo. So here we have like nice snow. I forget if the snow was in Kiwami 2. I don't know. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. Like I know it's in the Shindo fight, but I'm not sure if it's in, like, in the introduction before him. I don't know. So yeah, here is another like little short level before the boss fight. Though it's not much of a level, and in this level you can pretty much just skip all the enemies and just run straight to him. However, I do like a little of a miscalculation. I start going up because I think, oh, okay, I gotta get to the other side of the room. So I'm gonna go to this left side and kind of check the map. All right, oh, the door is blocked. Oh, my bad. Okay, so maybe the other door will be open. Okay, let's go check that. The enemies are on my tail. Gotta be careful here. That's locked too. Going upstairs was completely useless, so we pretty much have to run back downstairs and pretty much go through the hallway, with the hallways which are actually open. And all the while, the enemies are like trying to hit me like on top. Like there was an enemy which like threw a sword at me. Like I mean, enemies can be a little dangerous and crafty with like the throwing weapons. Like, you know, sometimes you just defeat you have to be like fighting an enemy, and then boom, they'll just throw something at you. Like what, man? Come on. The knife guys I mentioned before, like they also showed up in the first Omi Alliance level, and that's why I was kind of cautious, kind of staying in like this one little section of like the arena, like taking out enemies that kept coming after me over and over, because if I went any further, I'd be in the range of those knife guys. And then they start stacking those knife guys like in two, so you know you have one guy throwing another knife, and then you have another guy also throwing another knife, so, you know, just complicating things all over. So anyways, we're gonna destroy Shindo here with the gun, and to be honest, I'm kind of like, I was kind of considering whether I wanted to include this section or not, because Shindo just takes up a lot of time because he's just such a QTE hog. Like, I mean, you know, when you're completely destroying him like this, it just kind of transitions from QTE animation to QTE animation. They just kind of, okay, shoot him with the gun, he runs away. Shoot him with the gun, he's jumping off. He's gonna run off to the other side of the room. Yo, baller theme though. Shame it didn't make it into Kiwami 2. And oh yeah, I actually wanted to mention something about the previous level, but kind of forgot to mention it. I don't know, that level has Hayashi's theme. So, you know, not only is that killer theme used for Hayashi's fight, it's also used for that entire level. You know, pretty sick. So, I mean, I have been kind of saying that Kiwami 2's levels are better than the Yakuza 2 levels. However, I mean, yeah, Kiwami 2's combat kind of makes it more annoying. Like, the thing is, I can't have, like, full authority on, like, whether Kiwami 2's levels are better or not, because I haven't actually tried to no damage them yet. Like, I mean, I know there's going to be some annoyances in trying to no damage those levels, and I don't know, I mean, the only one I'm really like some of the only ones I'm really familiar with is that, well, one, there's huge groups of enemies, they all attack super fast. Like, I mean, if you get like kind of close to them or like try to bait out an attack, it kind of comes out instantaneously. And, like, I don't know, one main difference is that in Yakuza 2, if you try to, like, beat up an enemy, like, one-on-one, like, if you isolate, like, a certain enemy from the group long enough that you can perform a full combo on them, you can kind of, you know, do a full combo on them. Run up to them, hit them, boom, it's simple. But in Kiwami 2, enemies are, like, way more reactive. Like, I don't know, even if you're trying to tackle, like, one guy, like, one-on-one, like, I mean, the enemy could, like, dodge your hit, they could block it, and sometimes when an enemy blocks your attack in Kiwami 2, they immediately retaliate, which is, like, annoying. I don't know, it's just hard to deal with enemies, like, I mean, just in general with the combat system. Like, I mean, maybe hard is not the right word, it's just frustrating, because sometimes it's a little inconsistent here and there. Sometimes you can land the combo, sometimes they'll react or break out of it beforehand. While in Yakuza 2, it's, like, a lot more straightforward. I mean, you know, it's tough to kind of get a hit in, and it's best that you kind of bait out an enemy's attack first before hitting them, because sometimes there's this nasty little thing which could happen in the original Yakuza 2 where you'll run up to hit an enemy, but then the enemy will be in the middle of, like their combo or whatever, so, you know, they'll be doing like a big punch, and then when you go to punch them, their hit might actually land before you hit them. So, you know, you might end up taking damage even if it's a very, very close call. Anyways, here is the castle level, and something has changed here. One, I'm using the Kali sticks, which have this amazing heat action you just saw. And also, I am wearing the payback ring and the bloody bindings. And let me just say, the original Yakuza 2 is a game that is very easy to break in half. And Kiwami 2 as a remake is actually very faithful to that as well. Because that game is also super... You can also break that game in half. But I don't know, there's just certain items in the original Yakuza 2 which just break it just straight up. And one of them is the bloody bindings, which, to my knowledge, they make your attack... Like, your attacks are like 4 times as strong. So it's like 4 times the damage. Like, what? That is insane. And then combine that with the payback ring. You look at that. The payback ring is an item which increases your attack by how low your health is. So here I have 0 health, and I have the bloody bindings, insane damage, one-hitting enemies, heat actions just completely demolish enemies. And the reason I'm doing this is because, well, normally this level isn't that hard. In fact, this section you can pretty much skip all the enemies. Like, you can kind of just run. This is kind of like a maze section. However, if you open the map, you could pretty much kind of be clear about where you're going. And you can kind of just skip all the enemies here and not have to deal with them. The reason I'm using all these items, and also I'm using the slowdown water, which like goes into the next area, because this section right here, I do not like this section. This is a shooty section, and you don't really have any defenses against these guys. You pretty much just have to take out all these guys in a very specific manner before they hit you. And I'm taking every advantage I can get. Slow down water, damage boost so I can take them out as quickly as possible, and also just a little bit of luck. Because sometimes an enemy will shoot you, it'll miss, sometimes it'll hit you. It's like a little random, just hell for no damage. Like, you know, like it's somewhat possible, and the only reason I had hope that this was possible was because well, the task robot, like, I don't know, the tool-assisted run I saw of Yakuza 2, they were able to do it. And then the X-Hard run I saw, they were able to do it. And without slowdown, however, I'm not that brave, so I'm just going to go with the slowdown. And the reason I drank the slowdown drink before entering that area is just to kind of not mess with the pause screen. Because, I don't know, once you enter that area, you just run immediately to that railgun to take them out real quickly. Anyways, there's these little QTEs, and they're pretty easy to react to. So here, we brought out the gauntlets just because, I don't know, it's kind of hard to deal with all these guys all at once. And also, since I have the bloody bindings, I might as well do it. And they just got to take out... But pretty much, like, the only thing you have to do is really take out the main boss fight, but because I'm so overpowered with all this equipment, I took out everyone just with that one special move. And the special move you saw was like the little spin kick. That has a ton of iframes, and you'll be seeing it later. Pretty much, like, you can kind of hoard those to kind of deal with some annoying groups, maybe a gun enemy in another area, yada yada yada. But anyways, we're gonna deal with the tigers. And this, oh man, I don't know, the tigers are always difficult. You never know. I don't know, just a little sick remix of Evil itself, even though Evil itself is a better theme, but, you know, sick and all. So here we have the gun. We're going to go with the slowdown water just to be a little safe, and we're going to take out these guns. Whoa, 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 that guy's dead. And it's over. Okay, so this is probably the tightest level in the game in that it's like short, concise, and you like. I don't know, when I say it's the tightest, I mean that like unlike some of the other levels, you can't skip the enemies in this one, and it's very difficult because oh man, I mean these first couple of guys aren't too bad. However, man, like this level is very frustrating. I don't know, I say tight, but I'm not sure if this level is really that good, but it can be really frustrating because I don't know, these guys attack so fast. Like, I don't know, like the previous enemies in the previous levels, like don't attack that fast. You can kind of react to them, but these guys, like their like attack speeds are honestly like on Kiwami 2 levels. Like, oh my goodness. But this is a really cool level, you know, like taking the car level from like the first game and making it into like an actual beat 'em up level. Great idea. And just kind of having like these combat challenges all taking place on these like separate cards. Awesome. However, these guys attack so fast, so you're trying to take out one guy and then the other guy will clip you. Like, oh no. That's just very, very frustrating. So like in the beginning, I go for like the grab combo because the enemy's health bar is actually big enough in order to do the grab combo. Then after that, I kind of take them out. And then for like the second group there, I rely on my like reaction heat actions. Like, you know, there's like a heat action you can do when an enemy's about to attack you. You can pretty much just like take them out like that. So I did that because I don't know, dealing with those guys normally is just painful. You get clips sometimes. Sometimes the enemy gets a little aggressive. Yada yada yada. And this part is horrible. Like. What I normally would want to do is I want to grab an enemy to kind of throw them, and when I throw the enemy, they'll kind of like knock the other enemies off balance. And you know, like you have a gun enemy like on that side, and then once you take out that gun enemy, the other gun enemy goes to like to the back of the cart. So you have to run past these enemies. The enemies who have like very fast attacks. So it's kind of like you might get clipped and trying to run to the other guy, and if you're too slow on getting to the gun enemy will just shoot you. So sometimes you'll mistime your dodge, and then boom, you get shot. And then after that, you have to deal with these two guys. You have to make sure you don't screw it up. So anyways, right now I equipped the gauntlets because the next section is even worse, and it's all because of this stupid shotgun guy who's across the map, who's covered by all these other enemies. Like, no. I'm going to abuse the iframe so you could get to this asshole over there. Like, no. So yeah, I mean, I'm just glad I had these golden gauntlets available just to take out this guy. Once I take out this guy, I'm still going to be using the gauntlets because why not? So yeah, we're just going to be hoarding all those iframes to take out this very, very tedious, annoying group. So... like, I don't know, Kiwami 2, like, the level is still kind of tough. However, I do think they made it better because they added a lot of neat little things to kind of spice up the gameplay. Because, I mean, the first part's very similar. You know, you have a group of enemies to take out. But then afterwards, you kind of get, like, this big group. And you get a guy, like, on the other side throwing grenades. Like, there's just a lot going on. Like, it's got a little bit more of a fluid feeling to it. While here, it's a little bit more of a straightforward, like, you know, 4 or 5 sets of challenges. Anyways, here's Man in Black, and he's the easier part of this challenge. However, since it's on X hard, and if I fail this part, I have to redo every single other part before it, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to play him very cautiously, and I make a lot of mistakes, which kind of end up dragging this fight out, sadly. I don't know, my head's kind of drawing a blank, because I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about the long battles in length, because I don't know, the strategies are pretty simple for the most part. And also, I've talked a lot about Yakuza 2, like, in my Yakuza 2, like, boss fight videos. I don't know, if I do more, like, long battle videos, I'm just worried this doesn't become, like, a consistent issue. Because it's like, I don't know, I'm just kind of losing my train of thought on a lot of these things. So yeah, as you can see there, I did a heat action without having any heat build up. Like, I don't know, like there's this one heat action you can do in Yakuza 2. If your health bar is like completely full, then you can do like this heat action where you slam their face to the ground when you grab them. I don't really like the thing where your health bar has to be completely full. I don't know, I think that's dumb and stinky. I much prefer the way which Yakuza 3 handled it, where you needed to have your heat bar completely full. And hey, that would incentivize me like to actually build up my heat, at least for like in Yakuza 3's case. Thing is, Yakuza 3 doesn't have anything like where you can do heat actions without the use of a heat bar. It's just that it has a really OP heat bar. I don't know, I wanted to hit Man in Black with like a big box, but I got stressed and I didn't do it. Also, I will say the little like animations in between like these sections and this long battle is better in Kiwami 2, to be fair. Like, that's like what, 10 years of difference? Like, I don't know, 15? No, it was like 10, right? Yeah. So here we have the final level of the game, and it is quite difficult, so I had to use some very unorthodox methods, and most of them pretty much just involve the fact that I have infinite heat. So what I'm gonna try to do to take out this entire crowd, like combos is suicide. Like, I can't really do combos per se, and also like the way like the other two people did it, like I don't know, the one who did it on X hard and the other who did it with like a tool assisted run. Well, the tool assisted run, they're pretty much just perfect and like, you know, can combo enemies and then dodge whenever they want because they know exactly how the game works. However, the X hard run, they just abused the gauntlets, so it was like, not much room for like strategy. I mean, like in tackling this. So instead, I'm just gonna grab every single enemy and just knock them to the ground. This heat action pretty much takes out their entire health bar. I have infinite heat, so let's just do that. And then once I isolated it to one single enemy, then I'll combo on them for a little bit. That's pretty much the strategy for these first two guys. And for the next upcoming fight, well, I don't know. Oh, wait, okay, so I did mention that with the Yakuza 2 enemies, they're easier to deal with because you can kind of run up to them and combo them. However, some of the more tricky enemies, they'll dodge like your first hit. However, even that is predictable. Like, as long as you don't get too zealous, you can kind of bait it out. And then once they dodge, they won't do it again. So, like bait it out, dodge into them, and then go for like a full combo on them. They won't dodge that. But to be fair, when there's like a bunch of enemies around you and you're trying to take out an enemy really quickly, you could screw up. Just kind of something to keep in mind. So anyways, here, there's a knife guy. Boom, take him out. That gives me access to his knife. And once I have his knife, I'll be able to heat action these guys like really quickly. Like, okay, we have like this dude who like hits you. I don't know, he's not that hard to deal with. However, once his health bar goes down to a certain point, he enters his phase where he has super armor the entire time. So boom, heat action. We're gonna get rid of him. Having infinite heat really is useful. So we're just gonna keep stabbing him over and over. Now, this guy with a tonfa, I think that's what the weapon is called, or I don't know how to pronounce the weapon's name, like tonfa. He's easy to deal with. You honestly just combo him. However, if you let him attack you, he deals big damage. Like, I mean, I don't know, if he gets a full combo on you, like, I don't know, he deals some pretty massive damage in comparison to a lot of the enemies. So he's like the big damage dealer if he ever gets a hit on you. However, he's really easy to combo as long as you don't have the other two enemies like breathing down your back. That's the one thing about knife enemies in this game. They're really fast. Like, I don't know, if you have a knife enemy in the group of a bunch of other like enemies, like the knife enemies will run straight at you and be like kind of first in line to like hit you. I don't know, they kind of copy the same moveset which like Jingu's bodyguards had in the first Yakuza game, like in that boss fight. Anyways, here's a previous boss fight I've already fought, so I'm just going to use the gun to take him out. However, it gets a little tricky, so I'm going to run away from him to kind of get more cover. Boom! How did he grab me? What's that grab detection? Anyways, I deal with it. However, now my gun is on the ground! Like, that's the thing. Okay, there's like these special weapons you can get after like completing the game, getting to Joamon and all that, but you can throw them, and I'm not sure if you can lose them because I'm not even gonna risk that. Like, what? But you can just throw these weapons, and I'm sure if you finish the fight and you don't have the weapon in your inventory, it's probably gonna go away. But it's like such a special weapon which like spent so many hours to get to. Like, what? No, you can do that with like some of the other weapons you can get too. Like, oh my goodness, like. Such a like silly thing this game does. Like, you can just throw away this special gun with infinite ammo. You can just throw it away. Like, are you kidding me? Bruh, come on. Don't do me like that. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, I already defeated these guys, so I just used the gun to kind of shoot them out. And then afterwards, I kind of bait them out so I can grab the gun and then shoot them back. Yeah, you know how it is. So yeah, here is the last encounter of the game. At least in terms of levels. There's still boss fights coming up, but I already did that in a separate video. You can watch it. So here is a almost infinitely respawning group of enemies. Like, it's just a ton of enemies that keep respawning over and over and over. You start off with a really big group, and then once you start taking them out, like, more enemies start to kind of come in, and then there's 2 gun enemies, so you want to take them out really quickly. You have a heat action, you kind of take them out naturally without a weapon, so you kind of do that. Okay, so as you can see, I am using a weapon. That's because I got fed up with this level, because I had to repeat the first half of this level over and over just to get a chance at doing this, and I was like, nah, you know what? I'm just going to pull out a weapon and heat action everyone. I don't know. My previous strategy was take out the 2 gun enemies who appear in this group, and then, like, I don't know, use your, like, reaction heat action to take out the knife guy. And once I take out the knife guy, I would pick up his knife and pretty much just do what I'm doing here with the tonfa. Just kind of run around, bait out enemy attack, do a heat action on them. And since I have infinite heat, I can just kind of keep doing that over and over and over. I just did that with like the knife I got from the knife enemies in this level. However, that got a little complicated because then you have to do that with like some because your knife like actually has durability, so that runs out at one point. So then once that runs out, you need to get another knife. Then the group's kind of coming in, and then like at a certain point, like some more enemies are gonna spawn in. There's gonna be a shotgun guy that'll be coming in like shortly, and I don't know. Right now, I want to take out this big group that's in here right now to deal with like the guys who are coming up later like more easily, because I don't know, like doing heat actions on a big group is a little tough. However, when they're coming at you like one by one, it gets a little easier, because I don't know, pretty much, I don't know, the thing with doing heat actions on these guys with a weapon, with a knife, you know, what have you, one complication is that the enemy might attack, and when they're attacking, you can't do a heat action. So sometimes for some of the more tricky enemies, look at that, I baited out his attack first, and then I went in for the kill with a heat action. To be fair, this strategy only works because I am pretty much in God mode and pretty much have every single upgrade in the game, which I got from like 70 hours of playtime. Not everyone is going to have that who just kind of wants a quick go at it, like a no damage. So, I don't know, if you want a strategy which doesn't involve heat moves and weapons, and by weapons I mean this infinite durability tomfo you get only by like 100%ing the game practically, well, I don't know, you're a little out of luck here. I don't know what I can say. However, I will say I do think it might be possible. However, building up heat might be a little tough. You might want to like take out your entire health bar first before doing that. Okay, so there comes a point like a shotgun enemy will kind of spawn and just kind of take him out like quickly, but then afterwards 2 more like pistol enemies will spawn in at one point. They're going to be tricky. And then with the knife guys, like the thing with the knife guys is that, okay, I think they'll be showing up shortly. I'll talk about them when they show up. So yeah, I don't know. Like look at that. Like you see that kick there? It's so quick. Like, you know, if you're in the middle of an attack and he kicks you, boom, it's over. Oh yeah, did you see that knife guy? How he just zooms in on your location? Like that's the trouble with them, because I don't know, baiting out an attack from them, you know, you just kind of want to run away. Look at that guy. He's so fast. That's the thing with the knife enemies. Like, I don't know, they're just kind of fast. They can kind of cancel out of animation sometimes. It's a little hard to read their movements, but not impossible. So you just kind of wait. Okay, there we go. We have our opening. Oh, but I missed my heat action prompt, but that was still useful for me because I instead did a weapon attack, which kind of kept that stun in place. So I just go for another enemy right there. Very nice. So yeah, this like final section of the level, it's neat. I don't know, one neat detail about this section of the level is that if you took any damage in like the previous section, your health bar is actually completely healed. So, I mean, yeah, so in this, like, final level, I split it up into 2 parts. Like, the first part was, like, those first 3 encounters. I did that, no damage. And then the second part is just this section, which I did separately. And then I combined those 2 separate videos into this one big video. And, you know, if I took any damage on, like, any, like, re-attempts to, like, get to this part, like, on the first part of the level, it doesn't show up because my health bar is completely healed by the time I get to this point. However, it will ruin your strategy if you want to, say, have low health for this point. You can't do that. Like, I mean, you might try to go for like a low health run, you know, in the beginning of this level, but once you reach this point, boom, your health bar is completely full. And this game, to my knowledge, doesn't have any items which completely deplete your health, so, you know, sucks to be you if you want to do that. But that's another thing. So I don't know, when it comes to like doing these long battle challenges, I don't wait for the enemy to kill me. When I like take damage, I just exit out of the game, because the game kind of has this option, you press select and boom, you can just exit straight to the title screen and kind of restart. It's kind of fast, kind of quick, and for the most part, like the save points like near these like levels is actually really close. Like sometimes they're like right in the level, like with the Omi Headquarters, or they're like just really close by, like with the. Or sometimes they're just like in Serena or like in some of the rest areas in this game. They'll kind of be, pretty much you'll just have to talk to someone to activate the final level, and then you just kind of go to the final level. You know, very close, very easy to get into. Like, I mean, it's not as convenient as a mission select per se, but it works. And also you do have to replay the entire game to get to these levels. And yeah, I just really love Yakuza 2. Like, honestly, it might be a top 3, but I don't know if I would put it over Ishin. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, my favorite games in the series are probably like 5, 0, Ishin, and 2, but I'm honestly considering maybe putting 2 over Ishin, but I don't think I can do it. I think Ishin overall is still like a better game due to this combat system and all of that. This game is just, I love this game. I love its pacing. Like, I mean, its story is definitely one of my favorites. Like, it's just the vibe, the grunge. Just, man. Great game, great game. I don't know, the long battles could have a little more to them, maybe a little more meat going on, maybe like a little less frustrating in some areas, and future games would kind of improve on some long battle ideas. However, I don't know how hard it is to do those, to no damage those ideas. I'll have to check out those games for myself and see. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's my video. So I don't know, for the next video, I think I want to go back to Kuruhyo too and try to no damage that secret boss fight. Like, I don't know, there's like 1 or 4 side quests I still have to do to reach him, and then once I reach him, I'm gonna have to come up with some strategy, because I don't know. Just like Gaia, I'm expecting him to be a complete like health sponge, like 20-30 minute fight. Gonna take a couple days. I don't know. Like, I'll see what I can do with that guy, but yeah, I'll see you then.